All right, everyone. Well, so we are live here. How about those winning trades today? Nice volatility here in the market. Gotta love starting off the new year with multiple winners there. Now up over 1% year to date in just 3 days. So great way to start the year off there. I'm getting in a few things here. I'll say a few words and then we'll get into some questions. So first of all, basically everything that has gone on over the last couple of weeks to months that I've been talking about in regards to interest rates, and everything that I'm going to say in this video is prefaced by this. Interest rates going up due to growth can be a risk-on signal. And there seems to be some confusion here, but that is why you saw the Russell 2000 increasing last year, starting in really, late the fall, and then had that blow off, well, not blow off move, but the big rally. And why is the Russell unable to rally right now? Because interest rates are going up due to inflation. There's a big difference. More than one thing affects asset prices, right? There's more than one thing. A stock can go up because it had good earnings, but it can also go down because their CEO quit. There's multiple things. So when you have stocks, or when you have rates going up because of inflation, it's a risk-off signal. And that's why you're seeing the IWM roll over. That's why we're seeing Bitcoin roll over. That's why we're seeing growth stocks get absolutely clobbered right now. And I think a lot of people are, they were long some of these high-risk assets, and now they're paying for it. But essentially, what we have here, and I warned about this last week, we have a failed inside bar on the SPY. You see the same thing on the futures, failed inside bar. We had the same one on the NASDAQ last week. That's why I flipped bearish on Friday. And we went aggressively to the short side on Friday, and that's paying us dividends now. Saw the same thing on the SMH here, that failed inside bar, and now that's paying. So I think this will, if you guys are in the SSG with me, I did advance our first target. We actually hit our first target today, but I didn't take any profits there because tomorrow this should go down and test that 50 moving average. That's probably where we'll take first half gains on that, just as a heads up there. But this should get down there on the SMH, which will help our SSG. Take a look at cloud software. Haven't I been saying this for weeks? You have an inside bar pattern here on the weekly, and look at that. Look at that breakdown there. Now it is getting kind of into some support here around 365, 360. So maybe it gets a little bit of a bounce here. It is a little oversold, but look at the dump there on IGV, even Microsoft. Look at the rollover on Microsoft hitting the 100. This will probably get down and fill this gap if we head lower tomorrow. Otherwise, it's going to probably hold that 100, but last time it was at near the 100 moving average was in October. So Microsoft getting hit. Take a look at Google here. I posted this chart on Twitter a little while ago, but notice how this trend line went back to really almost a year ago, and this is where the distribution started. It started in August, and it takes time. They can't just dump everything all at once. There's just not enough liquidity. But, look, it started here, and then, they're probably selling into this a little bit and then fading it. Now you make 1, 2, 3 lower highs, and then boom. So Google's going to probably, it's probably going to have some support right around 2,700. And if you get through that, you obviously test the 200 moving average. But you see this rollover in tech. That's why we've been short in tech. That's why we haven't been attacking the Dow. We don't want to attack the blue chip stocks in a high rate environment. By the way, nice evening star reversal there on the Dow. But that's why we had call options on Verizon. Look at that monster move there. Monster profit for us today on that one. That is a big wall of resistance, though. That probably will need to pull back a little bit overall. But yeah, IWM, we talked about that a little bit. Look at that ugly candle there on the daily. It still has, it's still kind of range bound for now. And, they could, bounce it back up possibly, maybe tomorrow. But I do think we test lower prices tomorrow. Again, we talked about the 50 moving average on the semis. We'll probably test that on the spiders as well. And the same thing on the triple Q. Well, the triple Qs have already blown through the 50 moving average, but that would probably coincide with the 100 moving average on the triple Qs. So that's where I think we're going tomorrow. I don't know if we close green tomorrow necessarily, but I would be shocked if we don't at least test lower prices in the first half of the session. And if we test lower prices in the first half of the session, I think there's probably a good chance that we can bounce. But if we gap up and we fade, then we could accelerate to the downside very quickly. In fact, just the fact that you blew out this inside bar and that has failed now, we can definitely test lower prices very fast. I think the downside is about ready to accelerate. Maybe we get a dead cat bounce here, but it's looking like we're ready to roll over here. And obviously we talked about rates. 10-year clipping 1.7, closed at the highs of the day. I posted this, or I talked about this yesterday. I mean, does it get any clearer than that? There's your inverse head and shoulder trigger. The 200 MA on the weekly is not really that major, because look at how much we pulled back before we went into that. So maybe it'll stall out there a little bit. I still think the bond bulls do try to stage a little bit of a fight here. I don't think they're just going to let it break out. But, you know, for now, rates are pushing higher. And like I said, that's going to hurt tech. 30-year, same thing, broke out yesterday, closed above the 200. You know, it is stalling a little bit. You'd have a little bit of supply here. Again, I think the bond bull stage one last ditch here. But yeah, rates moving higher here. So let's talk about, one last thing I'll say about tech here. Since I know we've been following this for a while, this MACD here on the weekly. So now this little lower trend line, if this blows out here and we get through that, I don't think that this lower trend line will necessarily be support anymore. You know, if you make a lower low on the MACD, it's probably toast time on tech. Doesn't mean it won't maybe bounce there, but it's going to be short-lived. That's just my opinion, though. So yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about a few other sectors. XLE started off really strong, and then a you know, gap and crap reversal. I posted a chart of Chevron earlier. Look at that tail candle on Chevron. Maybe a failed breakout, but look at that. It tried to get above this red bar high, and if it could, you know, if it can close above that at some point, it probably goes right up to all-time highs. At least wants to go up there and test that. But you know, energy stocks did come in, so you know this trend line here is holding on the XLE. But it obviously is a stronger sector to be in if I had to pick one. Right now, so the energy stocks doing okay. Plus, you got stocks like Chevron that pay dividends. They're just well-run companies. So you know that's a place that I would rather be in than something like tech related. But it is notable that, and I tweeted this out as well. It's notable that energy and what else rolled over today that should not roll over in a high-rate environment. Financials. Look at that reversal on XLF, almost an engulfing candle there. Take a look at the broker dealers, completely reversing yesterday's move. That is an engulfing candle on broker dealers there. So that got rejected. Let's take a look at you know, Goldman engulfing, JP Morgan basically an engulfing, Bank of America, dark cloud. I mean, Wells Fargo reversal. So you're seeing, let's see, Citigroup. Evening Star off the 50 moving average. So financials are unable to rally with higher yields, as is energy, and obviously tech isn't. So where's the market going to find strength? The only areas that it's going to find strength is in, you know, the boring names, the Verizons, AT&T, you know, Unilever. You know, we talked about Chevron a little bit. You know, Procter Gamble. So stocks like that, the boring names are going to be the, you know, if you're going to be long, these are the names you want to be long. You don't want to be in anything high yield or excuse me, high PE or high growth moving forward. Dow Transport's actually held up okay. Did have I mean, this isn't an engulfing reversal, but you're still holding trend. You know, it's not like it had a major breakdown, but remember a few weeks ago when I said we lost this inside bar, we closed below this blow off top bar. You could probably fade any rally on the transports if you want to, and we might get a rollover here, but for now, Dow Transports are holding up. Let's look at actual crude. So it did get, let's see where it got to today. It's got as high as 78.58. So I did say it could get up to 78.50. It's probably going to stall out here a little bit. But crude's doing okay. It's holding up. And if, you know, if there is an inflation trade, then maybe crude can advance as the markets decline. That is a possibility for sure. Nat gas didn't really do a whole lot today. It's still inside of this big red bar. If this starts to break down, you guys already know the buy level, but I'm looking to get into that. Dollar index started off weak, nice little pop here. This is setting up for a big move. You guys know, I think it's going to 99. Gold kind of it did reverse as yields pushed up. So now you're seeing the more traditional correlation. We talked about this yesterday about how yields and gold were rising together, which is obviously unusual, but gold acting a little bit more like expected now. Although it only was down 1/4%. So it is holding up okay. It could be that gold is kind of a risk off thing. If yields are going up, that means people are, there's an exodus from bonds, which means where are you going to go for safety? Well, you got to go to either the dollar or you got to go to gold. So there is a scenario where gold could do okay here, but silver, weak as well. Palladium, kind of a flattish day. Platinum, on the other hand, was very strong. It did come way off the highs, but platinum was pretty strong here. So interesting to see that. And copper was weak as well, but this is not a broken pattern on copper. I'd prefer to see it bid up off the lows though. But it could still get through 451 and get to that 464 area. But I'd like to see it get up a little bit off the lows before the close here on the futures. Let's flip over to everybody's favorite. So Bitcoin. So if we close below this trend line, what kind of pattern is that, guys? Head and shoulders. So Bitcoin's vulnerable here, and that's why I said earlier, it's important to know the distinction between why rates are going up. If it's going up because of growth, that's one thing, and then you can see Bitcoin rise like it did early this year. The rates were going up because of growth, and then they stalled out at 1.7, and the market said that's okay. As long as they're not going above 1.7, we're okay. We don't care. But now, you get that one last push, and now rates are going up because of inflation. Oh, apparently Bitcoin's not an inflation hedge now. Apparently it is a risk asset after all. If it gets through this, you start to accelerate, it's going down to 32K. So just keep that in mind. Ethereum, I talked about this yesterday. What kind of pattern? Bearish, bear flag. What kind of patterns Bitcoin been doing? Bear flag. You had this failed inside bar here. Look at this beautiful bear flag. Doge, Litecoin, XRP, Solana, Cardano, Shiba, all of these cryptos bear flagging on the daily. Even, I was looking at Riot for a potential short here, but it already started running. But look at how the weakness in Riot, MSTR, look at MSTR breaking down, and Mara breaking down as well. So I don't like crypto here, and I've made that clear over the last week or so. By the way, speaking of risk on, GME and AMC are done. So GME just closed below this green bar low. That is going to go a lot lower, as is AMC. Lost this inside bar low today. That's a failed pattern. AMC is probably going down to about 15. I think the memes are toast. I think risk is toast. You want to be in conservative, boring names, or you want to be short with me. And that's kind of what I'm seeing moving forward. And hey, let's keep rolling in those profits. Yeah, I really like the way we're positioned right now. Anyways, let's get into some questions here. That's right, Kevin. Stonks only go up except when they don't on Monday, and they gamma squeeze Tesla, and the institutions use all of the retail money to unload into. What a beautiful gamma squeeze that was. And they just sold everything, rolled it right over. All the dumb money was buying up here, chasing it higher. Oh, it's going to go to the moon. Tesla to the moon. Well, not anymore. Probably going to come down and fill this gap. It does have some, it is kind of holding up, back testing this area right now. But if it closes below that, it's going to go right back down to 900, 950. So, especially if rates continue to rise, this is, if there ever was a high PE stock, it's this one. Yeah. Yeah, Bitcoin, 44K for Bitcoin. It's, I think, one sec. Put up here. Yeah, it's below 44K, 43.7. Yeah, I mean, this pivot here has got to hold up. If they can't make this close back above this trend line, I don't think that 42. Originally, I thought that 40 to 42 could be good support, but look at how much consolidating you've done above that. So this is like you're building up an army, So you're building this army to push through this. I mean, this is what, a week and a half of consolidation? This is like a month of consolidation. So this has got some steam. That's why I don't think 40K is really that good of support anymore, especially when crypto gets going. Like, you guys know how crypto works. It can really just, when it gets going, it gets going. I mean, look at last time. I mean, it was like, this was like a day. I remember Bitcoin just gapped down that one day all the way down to 30K. That was pretty incredible. But anyways, you guys know how crypto works, but I don't really like that 42 to 40K handle anymore. So I would do 10%, Pavel. No more than that. And that's how I do everything. So I never do any more than 10% or so in into any one asset. It doesn't matter what it is. But right now we just have a small position, and I'm glad we got our foot in the door. I don't know if it. I mean, the VIX is still below 20. That's the thing. The difference is, back here. Remember when the VIX blew up in December, and the market was really down about the same. I mean, like, this was a big sell-off today. This is a big sell-off. You would have think that the VIX would have been way higher. So that tells you that over the last month, a lot of bears have exited the market, or they flipped bullish. So there's room for the VIX to run. I think a lot of room. I'm not really sure what happens here. I don't know if we dead cat bounce or not, but I'm going to watch this very closely. I'd like to get more exposure to volatility, but that's why I wanted to get a small position, just to get our foot in the door, because now if it starts to run, we at least can take advantage of it. Yeah, Taylor, you can use next time you can use Verizon Commons if you're not comfortable using calls. The only reason I use call options on this stock is because it has a low beta, so it's not going to move as fast as like a Tesla or some of the other. It's not going to move as fast as some of like a growth stock, and so you have to use a lot more capital for a stock like Verizon to really pay off. Whereas I can just use like a fraction of that capital and get the same amount of leverage using call options. But if if you buy calls, or if I buy calls and you don't feel comfortable, there's nothing wrong with using common shares. You're just, your upside is just a little bit limited if you want to do that. If it consolidates, so yeah, for nat gas, if it consolidates for too long, then yeah, I don't know. We'll have to evaluate it. It might go a little bit lower. It might go a little bit lower, but I think it had to consolidate a little bit just to even get through this, because look at this here. So if it consolidates for too long, then we'll probably like move that target lower. We'll see what happens when it gets there though. But yeah, you're right though. You don't want it to consolidate for too long. Yeah, let's look at uranium. So uranium kind of did the same thing as XLE did, which I thought was interesting. I thought the XLE might be about to break out, and it looked like it wanted to. But it's interesting that today XLE started to break out, and so did uranium. Our CCJ had a nice push. It gapped up above this resistance and started running. Denison, URA, all these uranium plays started to move higher with XLE. But what did not move higher is solar. Solar had a bear flag breakdown here. So, moved down, consolidation, boom, started to break down. So it's specifically not all energy was running. I guess like nuclear is about as loved as crude is at this point, at least by governments. So I just thought it was interesting that uranium was running with XLE stocks. But anyways, a little bit of a failed move here. Tried to break out here on the URNM. And you could make a case that this is bearish. So you have a move down, and then you're kind of just inside of this lower range here. Again, if it gets down, if it starts to break down, you want $60. That's where you want it. Let's take a look here. 104. It might be a little bit lower, honestly. It might be $50 now. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it right now. I think uranium longer term is fine, but as far as a swing trading perspective, I wouldn't do anything with it specifically. I'm actually surprised CCJ rolled over as much as it did because it took a lot of energy to gap above this red bar high here. And then it started to rally and just rolled right over. Yeah, that's a pretty ugly rollover there. Yeah, Fareed, so at the end of the month, I'm gonna, so obviously it's been free to join the website now. And then I'll just create a new membership and it'll just be $5 a month. And then you guys can cancel your Patreon before it charges you. And then we'll just go from there. Then you can just purchase the new one. But I'll create it a couple of days in advance. And if I have to, I'll just give out a few alerts for free for a couple of days if that's what it takes to make sure nobody gets charged or double charged. Um, but yeah, and everybody's going to get the $5 a month guarantee. So if prices ever go up, it won't be for anybody that's in this. It'll just be for new members. So yeah, I'm working on them, Charles. They just take a lot of time. But I got pretty motivated like a week or two ago, and I did quite a bit of work on it. And it's coming along. It's just a lot of work, but I'm working on them. Let's take a look at Amgen. Again, this is another. So this is one of the few tech names I actually like. The stable name. You guys know I've liked an Amgen for a while here. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, you really want to see it hold 200, which it obviously already did. If it falls, though, I don't know. You'd probably have to go down to about 175. But look at how long it's held this 50 month moving average, and you lost it briefly, and you reclaimed it. So it could be making lower highs here, and yeah, I don't know. I would stay away from it for right now. I would wait for it to get cheap. BAWR, is that? That's not a symbol, is it? Yeah, I don't think so. BOM. What symbols are you guys sending to me? Yeah, anyway. Let's take a look at the futures here. Futures actually were down a little bit. Yeah, so futures are still down. Getting a little support there. A little dead cat bounce. Yeah, I think we have to go down tomorrow. We got to go down and test that 50 moving average. Um, if by some chance we gap below it, well, things will get interesting. Um, I don't know if that necessarily happens, but if we gap below it, then there's a problem, which will be perfectly fine. I don't think we do though, at least not yet. But anyways, nice job on those positions today. We'll look to keep it going moving forward. If anybody has any more questions, let me know. Type them in the box. We'll get you in. In regards to what, Charles, on options? And here I'll look at FXI for Suntory real fast. Um, hmm. Yeah, it's getting cheap. I think as long as you don't, if you're not over leveraged in FXI, you're probably okay. This should be bottoming out pretty soon. I would look for capitulation pretty soon here on this. But you got to think this is the March low, and you're basically down there. And the only reason these stocks are down is because of regulatory concerns. Charlie Munger just picked up Alibaba. I think now the contrarian play is to get into these names. Honestly, I think a lot of the regulatory concern is probably over with from China. But yeah, FXI, it's really cheap right now. Just be careful with it. Don't over leverage yourself. K-Web rolling over 2. Let's take a look at K-Web here. Yeah, I mean, these names are getting cheap. I think they're close to capitulation, though. Bed Bath & Beyond, that's probably torched. Yeah. You're barely holding on a double bottom here. I don't like any of the meme stocks right now. I think they're done completely. Look at Clover. This thing just fell out of it today. Robinhood, BlackBerry. BlackBerry's holding the lows at least, but I think this period here when we were kind of trading them a little bit, this was kind of like the last real chance to get in where these things were moving. I think they're headed a lot lower now, though. Yeah, I think 3250, I think I said yesterday. So right down here, we got this nice little trend line there on Amazon. That should be good support. And again, like, so think about how distance wise here we are here. So 3287. So it's 50, like, so yeah, so it's like 35 points on Amazon. That should coincide with the 50 moving average on the SMH. That should coincide with the 50 on the Spider. That should coincide with the 100 on the triple Qs, the 100 on, or this area on Microsoft, you know, this 2700 area here on Google. So I would think Amazon, if it gets down there, that's probably, you know, you're going to have support in the market overall right in that range. I would expect you'll probably get a good area of support right there on Amazon. That's, you know, if you want to take a quick long there, that's where I would look to do it. Maybe on a pierce of that, you could possibly get a little bit lower, but you have to see what the market's doing. You know, if Amazon is really weak and the market is, you know, already into support and starting to bounce, then maybe it wants to go a little bit lower. We'll have to see when it gets there, but this is the area though, right in this range. You know, if there's a lot of volume and you know, we have a volume surge tomorrow and it's selling off, then it probably gets through that, and it might get all the way down to closer to 3200. But yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But I think this area right in this range is good. This is where you started to sell off and then you reversed as well, so you'll have support just below that also. Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not doubling our position yesterday. At least we could have had 2% in it. It's better than 1, but the VIX is still below 20. That just blows my mind because it feels like we had, you know, remember last month when we had this big down day? I can't remember which, I think it was this one. We had like a almost 2% down day and the VIX was up like 40%. And yet the VIX is up, you know, 16% today, but that's not a big move for the VIX, really. It's really not when you think about it, especially considering what there is a lot more bears in the market here than there were before. So I think there's a good chance. I hope we get a dead cat bounce. I'd love for one. But we'll continue to play it by ear. Either way, we got some nice positions going on. Let's take a look at MSOS. Oh, that's right. If you get below 24.34, yes. If it closes below 24.34, it's headed lower. Let's take a look at a longer term. Okay, so you got, okay, but here's your basically your all-time low. Yeah, if you get through that, your buy area is going to be right around, 22. I would have no problem with you picking up a small position there, but I do like the cannabis names this year. So if you have a 10-month horizon on your radar, I don't have a problem with you nibbling here. By the way, let's take a look at Aurora. So it kind of sucked that we, got stopped out in the second half, but hey, look what happened. Look what happened today. So we still made money on it. And again, if this goes down to $5, I will pick this up. And the reason I say if you have a 10-month horizon, I like this because midterms are in October, November, and this will be a hot topic. Mark my words. You remember this come midterm time. This will be a hot topic. And if there's any sort of chatter about this, these stocks will rip. Especially with most of these stocks have about 20% short interest in them, so they can squeeze. But we'll be keeping an eye on this stuff for sure. Also, a lot of this stuff's tax loss selling. MSOS here. This is all tax loss selling right here. And it's down today because the market got clobbered. But there is potential upside in these cannabis names. DHT. It had a nice reversal today, though. This is a weaker name, though. It had a nice rally here. It is getting cheap. I'll give you that. I don't really see any buy signal on it, though. Yeah, you got an inside bar here on the weekly. So I don't know. I wouldn't go long this name right now. Got 50 cents here. Let's see. You could try it at $5. But this is not really participating in it. I mean, look at the market right now. Look where this is. XLE. It's lagging. All right, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks to everybody for coming out. Yeah, obviously, I said earlier, if you want to get in on the new website, it is free to join right now. Otherwise, if you want to get in on some swing trades and you're not a member, you can come join on Patreon, $5 a month. And like I said, we're up over 1% for the whole year already in 3 days. So killing it right now, and we're positioned really well. But anyways, guys, you take care. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, seeing where we open up. Looking forward to making some more money. Hopefully we can get some type of a dead cat bounce. Maybe we can add to volatility. Otherwise, hey, we're positioned. We got our shorts out there, and we'll just continue to ride those out. Yeah, look at PVH for you real fast. Whoops. Okay, so got a nice move off the lows. Like you held this area here. And obviously running into resistance at these pivots. So if it can make a higher low, so if you wanted to go long this, I would look at probably this gap fill. Let's see if there's a fib there too. Yeah, I would look somewhere around 105, 106 for a potential long, maybe 103 if it gets down there. And then you'd have to get through these pivots. And if you can get through that, then you can come up and fill this gap. But right now, I wouldn't go long it just yet because look at where your risk is. This is where your support is, and look at how close to resistance you are. So I would wait for some type of a pullback pattern, and then maybe you can long it there. You're up 7%. So what I would do, let's see, 109. So your entry is probably like what, 102, 101.50. Yeah, so I'd probably take some off the table right here. Look at this fib again. I would take probably half off the table, trim half of it, and then if it loses 103, then just stop out of the, or keep a break even stop, or if it loses 103, then just sell the other half. So that way you're guaranteeing a profit for yourself if you sell half of it now. And then if it goes higher, you still got exposure, but if it comes back, it's not going to hurt you. So that's what I would do with that one there. No problem, Charles. Yep. Thanks, Arthur. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. Great group tonight. Can't wait for tomorrow. We'll see if we can keep it rolling here. Hopefully we can get into target one on that SSG position, and maybe we can get some type of a bounce and we can add to volatility. Anyways, guys, take care. Thanks for being members. Thanks for following. Give me a like, thumbs up, etc. And I'll talk to you all tomorrow.